We're live now. I think somebody's watching because they're talking. Oh, we're live. Here we go.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead and do the intro, Chad. DJ
awesome.
Risky Business. This is so going to stay.
Welcome to
Welcome to the Sketch Zone podcast, hosted by DJ Risky Business, Chad Sorensen.
And we're back.
We're back. I am Carlos Gomez, and as stated earlier, this is a Sketch Zone podcast. And with us this week, we are talking to the incredible crew that is behind the historical event that we call the Midway documentary. We got basically everyone is here with us. So we're going to start with the director, producer, and co-writer, Mr. Ryan Brockmeyer.
Hello, everybody.
Followed closely by the host, Chad Sorensen, DJ Risky Business.
Hello.
Okay. And Kevin Beecham, who is also a co-writer. He's a researcher and consulting producer. He is in and out. But he should be, whenever he comes in, we'll properly greet him. We have a producer, Grayson Wambach.
What's up, guys?
Or Wambach.
Thank you.
Fancy.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah, it's French. Sorry. and the hottie of the group, we got Barbara Kalicki.
Nice.
Okay, she's quiet now too. All of a sudden, everyone wants to be quiet.
I was muted. I'm sorry. I'm not muted anymore.
All good. All right, and then the original crew. We got Charlie B. Williams III.
Hello, everyone. It's gonna be a good show. How's it going?
And we have Jack Kasperzak.
Howdy. It's mad crowded. Getting a little claustrophobic. Smashing the people in there.
That's right.
Yo, dude's excited. Yeah, he's
What's going on
back.
over there?
It's been a while. He's back, man. It's our favorite studio audience.
That's right. So what's going on, fellas? What's going on, everyone? Let me see that.
Hello.
Well,
There he is.
there he is.
I'm here, but my camera seems to be failing me.
I think DJ Risky Business has been messing with your camera because he's quite jealous of your dashing good looks.
Yeah, I am.
Jealousy gets you nowhere, sir.
Yes.
I can help with some grooming tips, sir. Just,
Oh, shots fired.
Listen.
Shots fired.
Some tells me we're going to have a lot of show titles.
Mhm. I give free grooming tips. So,
Charles, you have some news.
yeah. So I spent.
Are you
a lot of
celebrating?
time-
Are you celebrating right now?
I am celebrating.
Oh, hang on. Before you get going, because
Really?
you do have some really cool news, I need to go ahead and chime in and say, during the show, if you have any questions, comments, concerns for anyone on the panel, feel free to use the Sketch Zone hotline. That's 408-753-8248, and we will read your message. And you can text or leave a voicemail, and we will read that on the show during the show. So now, Charles.
So, something cool happened to me, Carlos, and everybody else.
Okay,
this week.
so that's officially anticlimactic. Don't ever do that on the show again.
Okay. So, something happened to me this week that was amazing. It took a lot of hard work on my part. A lot of hours spent in front of the computer screen, like waiting and like hoping
Properly
that someone
timed.
would see. You know, I have this thing with Pinterest, and I've pretty much solidified my role over there as the man in terms of like
Lead Pinterest advisor, yeah.
yes. So now kind of given myself a new nickname of Mr. 10K, only because Mr. Dave Atsy, which is the artist that's been on the show, on Instagram hit his 10,000th person following him. And who was that person? Right? It was me.
Charlie.
So I feel like I don't really want to talk about Dave, but I think it's all about me hitting that button and making all of his dreams come true. So, David, I want to thank you. Yeah, you two in the back. Don't worry. Thank you. I want to thank you for all the hard work you've done that allowed me to be able to follow you and be the most special person on your stream or Instagram stream, whatever. And he was stuck at 99 for like a long time until I decided to make him famous and hit that button. So I feel really good about myself.
As one you should. That's what we do. Sketchnote Nation makes things happen.
Just take credit, right? No, but it's really cool that he's gotten 10,000 follers. It's way more.
Charlie, how about you start following me? I'd like to get up to 400.
Well, when you get to that,
you have to wait.
Close to that.
Charlie doesn't give his love for free.
You gotta put the hours in to be able to afford me to come onto your page. And follow you. I mean, you're doing real good with everything you're doing with the documentary. So I'm pretty sure I'll be that 10K person for you.
All right.
But,
I'll hit you up in a couple of years.
Don't worry. I believe in you. I'll be there one day.
So Charlie.
Yes.
So Charlie, Dave just messaged and he said, "Oh my God, Charlie, love the hat! Wow!" 2 exclamation marks.
That's the only thing he said on my whole spiel was the hat.
That's all that matters, Charlie. That's all that matters.
This is why we have Jack around.
That was the highlight of that story.
Because he keeps me grounded, and then we're gonna move on. But,
there you go. We got another message.
Thanks, Jack. Love you.
You're welcome.
Oh, and then of course, not to be outdone, our artistic, not autistic, but our artistic brother, DaCosta with an exclamation mark.
I see what you did there.
He is at 11,514. So, way to squash people's dreams, DaCosta. This is not what we're here for. We're here to celebrate art and to help people succeed in this. Just
like him.
I'm
He's
just
I
saying
just want to know.
DaCosta.
Wait, hold up. He sent you that message, or you just looked it up?
No. He sent it to me.
Yeah, of course.
He's like, yo, I can't be undone.
By the way, yes, Dave Atsy, he did need this. Charlie needs these small things in life to keep him going.
There's nothing small about it.
And we have to get prescription drugs for him and stuff. So we let him enjoy these moments in life.
Where's Jack?
Jack just said,
laughed
"I'm
himself
done."
offline.
He said, "I'm done," and punched out.
See you later. You have to celebrate the small victories, though.
I feel it's pretty major.
Hey Chuck, how many Instagram followers do you have?
I have a cool.
And I'm not saying that to place your ass so ever so gently in check, but
I think I have more than you. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Wow.
See, now, if you want to start measuring, how many do you have?
I don't know actually, because I have so many.
Okay.
1 second. We'll find out.
Oh boy. Where's the? Hang on, we got something for this.
Oh, what is it? Let me log in. I have a whopping 151 followers.
Attaboy.
On my food blog.
Way to
put more pictures of my daughter.
Way to get it going.
Hey.
Do you know how many times DaCosta has lapped you?
Well, DaCosta spends his life on here. Ask me how many Pinterest followers I have.
No.
Coconut Justice has got a nice little following.
Yeah, nowhere near 10,000, but I'm getting there.
Getting there?
I'm getting there. Baby steps.
I enjoy it.
It's not the quantity, but the quality.
Exactly.
I have 1.4K followers on Pinterest.
Ooh.
Mm.
Trying. This is nowhere near 10,000 still.
I was waiting for Jack to come on because Jack wanted to talk about this topic, but he decided to leave us.
Yeah.
So I'll bring it up. Hey, did you guys hear about this movie called Sausage Fest?
Sausage
Yes.
Party?
Party? Is
Yes.
that what it is? Sausage Fest is this hangout right now as we speak. So sorry, I misspoke.
Couldn't resist, could you?
No, I couldn't.
You
Poor
thought
Bob.
about it before.
Poor Bob.
No.
I think I came in the
No,
wrong.
yeah, I heard about it. What's up, Carlos? So, what's what did you want to talk
So
The runaway hit.
From what I've been hearing through the grapevine is if you saw the trailer, you saw the movie.
All the funniest parts are in the trailer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that might be true, but I don't know if I'm gonna see it. But anyway, not to put a damper on absolutely everything we're talking about. There were, I think they had a total. I don't even know. And I think I heard they had a total of say about 80 animators, and 60 of which were not named in the credits.
Yeah, 30 of which left, I believe, at one point in time because the conditions were so messed up.
And who made the film and where are they based?
Sony Columbia made it. Or well, they're the distributor, I guess.
There's
Sorry,
a actual
Studio.
effects house that made it that they're citing. What was it? Maybe Jack knows. Is Jack back? Jack, do you know the company that was doing the animation and stuff for it? The actual company? You're muted.
You're muted.
Production company says Nitrogen Studios Canada.
Nitrogen. There it is. Nitrogen. That's it.
Thanks to Costa. DaCosta said made in Vancouver, where DaCosta actually lives. So
Really?
Yeah. So basically, Vancouver is a sweatshop. Is what we're learning.
For animators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They speak French too there, so it's a French sweatshop then.
French Canadian.
French Canadian.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Because if the French
They
knew
want you to
I
say
said it was a
French.
French sweatshop, they would get mad.
Grayson, are you French Canadian? Is that true?
How'd you know?
You just look it.
The beard.
Oh wow. Shots fired.
We love you.
Always got game on me. Always got game on me.
Hey, Jack, can we hear you?
Hey, Jack, you there?
I think so. Am I
There
back?
you go.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, do you wanna chime in on the fact that the sausage party actually handed a bunch of people sausages?
Well, I will start off by saying this isn't that uncommon, sadly. VFX studios in general and animation houses don't normally get credit unless the the production studio wants to give them credit. Often they do because it's fair. They give them like X amount of seconds of footage, and then it's up to the studio to figure out how many names they can fit in there and who makes the cut and who doesn't make the cut. But from what I understand, it was more than half of the employees did not get credit. And then there was some other fishy business with pressure tactics. That was I don't know it's hard to get a full read, but it doesn't sound like anything uncommon to the industry. It sounds like they were basically pressured into long unpaid hours and threats of firing them if they didn't do the work. Some of them were just not paid for their overtime.
Allegedly, some of them got fired too. There was a big Reddit post, and then one of the first places online was Cartoon Brew interviewed a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think it kind of all started because a group of the employees decided to approach management, not necessarily as a union or as a class action or anything, but just as a group. And I think the whole lot of them just got axed. They were just we're not dealing with this.
Exactly. And the crazy part about it is after that happened and throughout it, when press came out, I wonder. We don't know for sure if they thought about doing this, but it seems like soon as press started hitting for the movie because they figured it'll probably do pretty well. There was a interview on Cartoon Brew with the director, and then a bunch of the employees or alleged employees posted comments on that interview about saying like unnamed or disgruntled CG supervisor or disgruntled animator or whatever, and that's where like a lot of that like social networking started, and it started going viral because there were so many comments, and then people were posting and talking about it, and then more and more started coming out. There was also like talks of like after they approached, other like supervisors would approach and say, we can't, do this in this amount of time. We can't do these shots, and they would get fired and let go. There's a bunch of different things that were happening, and people would leave, because it was so bad. The animators and stuff like that. New animators would come in, realize it was bad. Some of them would leave, some would stay, and then would get their jobs threatened based on wanting to make a good film, so they just try to pressure them to like keep working and work overtime without any pay. I think they finally did get overtime, which is, I guess, good for some of the ones that stuck around. So they finally did get overtime, but all the ones before that left didn't get it, and it was only a very small amount toward the end of the film that some of them got paid, and some of them alleged they're still waiting on a check.
You remember one of the earlier shows that we had, we were talking about designers or illustrators doing whatever kind of project that they could possibly get their hands on, whether or not they got paid what they're worth, just to get the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is this one of those situations where you might as well take the shots just to say that you worked on a feature film?
I don't think this is. I mean, maybe Jack can speak on it more. I think a lot of these guys were like seasoned guys, and some like even supervisors got let go and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, the details are still a little foggy, and they're not letting them all out. But my understanding is that this is a fairly well-established team. I mean, like any team on these shows, you have a fair amount of junior animators, especially Vancouver right now is kind of struggling to fill. They have so much work they don't even have enough talent to fill, so there is like a giant influx of junior animators. So it wouldn't surprise me if many of them were, but it does sound like there were some supervisors and some higher level artists or senior artists that have been doing this a long time. So I don't know if it's completely just, hey, we'll put up with it because we have to. I think it was a big mixture of old school, like, the man coming down on them and telling them they can't complain, I mean, it's just hardcore like union busting basically, without the presence of a union.
So now this is a question for everyone on the panel, since everyone on the panel has had some sort of exposure to some sort of filmmaking or project making. The big companies that are doing these huge projects, and then they're mistreating their employees, is this opening the door for these small rogue groups of people to do something like create your own documentary or create your own? There's a lot of YouTube videos out there where the special effects are really good, or the animation is really good, the 3D animation is really good. Are we starting to see the big mean corporations starting to crumble just because they don't see the reality of how they're treating their people?
I think kind of, but you'll never have an independent movie that's like a Marvel movie.
I agree.
That just costs too much and involves too many people. That being said, I think the film industry is coming around to a little bit more like the music industry, where there's a lot more tools at people's disposal to create cool things, even feature-length films. But I think to do it on that scale, that's still going to require a ton of people and a ton of money, and that's more likely just going to come from another corporation.
to add to your point, Ryan, it's just like the music industry because music industry, and I'll show the comparison. You know, 15 years ago, you had to pay a lot of money to go to a studio to go into a board or use Pro Tools. People couldn't afford it. Pro Tools was a $15,000 program when it first came out. The compressors, you didn't have access to compressors and all these other things, preamps, all these other stuff. And now you can buy Logic for $200 and you're getting close to the same thing, and you can get damn near the same results, depending on how good you are. The cream will always rise to the top, and now I think it's similar with the movie industry because we don't have a budget, but we're shooting in 4K and it's sometimes 6K because we have access to equipment that now is more available to, still not necessarily to an average person, but it's a little bit more ready available versus, you know, 1979, you were going to shoot on a Super 8 or a 16, and that was about it. Other than that, unless you had, you know, 50, 100 grand, you weren't even going to start even a reel of film.
So, Grayson, you actually made a film. It was a documentary, but it was a film. Talk about that. Talk about the process, and talk about like your marketing efforts. And did you accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish with your film?
Well, to answer that last question, no. Just to start off right off the bat, and that's just because the project as a whole was kind of one of those, I would say, grassroots, legitimate indie project. It was something that my brother and I kind of just came up with. We wanted to shoot a quick little weekend in the underground hip hop scene, and we wanted to kind of document what that looked like, and kind of give people a different perspective than what they were seeing at the time, which at that time was mainly, besides Kanye, it was mainly Chief Keef, Dirk, and all of that stuff. So we kind of wanted to give people a different perspective, and we created that project successfully because I had some connections with a few artists. Shout out to Amina and Chris Cool Out Hawkins, as well as Pugs Adams. I had some of those connections, and they were gracious enough to let me talk with them, and then also, you know, hook us up with a few other very amazing people in that scene, and we shot just a full weekend. And then from that, we kind of, again, because we had no money, we just used the two cameras that me and my brother had, and from there we just kind of edited everything down, and we released it through online channels. And all of our marketing came from just people sharing posts, you know, sharing
What
the
was
link
the
to.
What
Yeah.
was the film about?
It was about a night in the underground hip hop scene of Chicago.
Very cool.
And so it just followed a whole bunch of different artists, and through just a weekend of performances and different events that were going on in Chicago. And we had a chance to sit down with all of them and kind of just get their take on hip hop as a culture, and what it meant to them, and you know what it's done for them and where they see it going. And that's kind of how that got created. And in terms of just the marketing, like I was saying, it's honestly just through online channels, people sharing it, the hip hop
Word of
community in Chicago, yeah, just sharing it, and then from that we got hooked up through a few blogs, relatively large blogs like OK Player, Ruby Hornet, and a few other film blogs, and they just kind of did their own little write-ups of it. And that's really all it was. And we didn't do much after that. And that's and that's more of just because we were young and resources and just trying to figure out what kind of story we wanted to tell.
Did you go into it knowing that you wanted to tell the story that you told, or was it a situation where you and your brother thought it'd be cool to hang out with a bunch of hip-hop guys or people at this place, and then you put it all together and actually learned something along the way?
A little bit of both. I mean, to be honest with you, the story that I wanted to tell is the story that we're telling, in the process of telling right now with Midway. I wanted it to be that large of a project. I wanted it to talk about hip-hop, not just as an art form, but as a culture, and how it's affected the people that are involved in it and the people that are around it in many different ways. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with it. But again, we had a very short amount of time. We lacked a lot of resources. So for what we had, we just compacted it into a weekend and kind of tried to just get a glimpse into that and see what happens, with that. And again, luckily enough, I was able to get involved in this project that we're working on right now, that is really, for me, telling a very important story, not only just for Chicago hip-hop, but hip-hop in general. And it's really going to open a lot of people's eyes to something more than music.
So I'm setting you up, so this question is going to sound a little bit silly, but
yeah,
actually having a team behind the film helps.
Oh yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh. You kidding me? If we could have a whole entire, I mean, the people we have are great. We have a great team. But if we had a whole entire crew behind us, you know how much we could get done?
Yeah.
You know? But again, that comes with what we started off talking about. The difference between big studios and independent projects. It's money. It's funding. It's finding the money, and that's why I think to bring it back from what we were just talking about. I think people can make independent projects. I think routes, from crowdfunding campaigns to all different things. Just in terms of equipment, easier to get equipment and all that stuff. I think it can happen, but the whole studio process will never go away because they have the money.
Right.
I mean, take a look. Independent film isn't the same anymore. There's still independent film, but the independent film that we thought of for a long period of time, it's kind of not that anymore. Sundance used to be a hub for independent film. I would not say any of the films that go to Sundance anymore are independent films. When you have a $5 million budget, you're not an independent film anymore.
Yeah, I like when like Miramax has their indie sub-label.
Yeah.
They're Miramax, but yet it's the indie sub. They literally label it indie, but I guess what does indie mean? Meaning that
you don't have a $20 million budget, and that's
is indie code for cheap film now?
Or is indie code for you don't know this director?
Mm-hmm.
True, yeah.
Yet. Yeah.
Right. I was gonna read this message from Dave Atsey. He says independent movies seem to be better storytellers. Bigger budget movies seem to concentrate on the effects so much that more modern movies are sucking. Weak storylines.
That's because you're putting so much money into the effects and everything like that you have to make your money back. So it has to appeal to the lowest common denominator of audiences. Yeah. People, a lot of people don't want to go to a theater. I mean, I'm speaking of like the general audience, but a lot of people don't want to go to the theater to actually learn anything or really have to think about anything, and you have that smaller budget and you can tell the better stories. There's that risk there. It's like, oh well, we're only spending a couple million on this as opposed to 150. That makes the difference with what you can experiment with and play around with.
And how much of that is the corporate touch, because corporations have a tendency to take a good project and they water it down because that's what they believe is what the audience is looking for. Something that's not going to rock the boat, something that's not going to push any buttons.
Cause them to have problems. Yeah, I think that's a lot of what it is. I think the reason why, to go back to what Dave was saying or asking, or his statement he made rather, I think there's a lot more hands in the dough with a mainstream film. So there's a lot more people that have to say yes, I like this. The director is the man on the film, but necessarily he's not really the man at some point. He gets beholden to the people that are giving him the money to fund that said film. And I think with an independent film that doesn't have that, it's less people. Now we can even get into the Sundance things like you guys said before, which is more so, yes, it's still less so to like the mainstream audience. Sundance is just considered, we're going to give you the bare minimum, and maybe that is a code for cheap film, which it shouldn't be, but maybe that's what it is. But I think there's less people having to answer to unless you make it big. And now, it feels like Sundance is more of like that. Oh, let's put it out to Sundance and all the other independent film festival circuits to see if it grabs traction, so that I can make the film I want to make based off of this small snippet of this film, which I think is weird also.
I often wonder, because obviously most of us, I'm assuming, are all kind of film buffs. I mean, clearly you can see me. I know Ryan, if you look to his left, he's got a giant movie collection. And
I got 2 words before you keep going, Chad. I got 2 words for you: Netflix. If you're listening on iTunes, my man Chad has more movies on his shelf than he has time left on this earth.
I can speak for Risk, I will never ever become 100% digital. Streaming, none of that stuff, whether it's music or movies, never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a collector. I like to hold it. I like to look at the artwork. I mean, I was so excited today. I watched a classic B movie from the 80s. Right before we got on, I watched The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai with Peter Weller.
We know. You were posting about it every 5 minutes.
So what I was going to say is, back in the early 90s is when I started getting interested in what I think people were calling indie films, right? And then especially as I'm a horror fan, and you would see horror genre would have a lot of indie films because they were paying for them themselves, and they were going through putting them out. Basically, they would find a distributor later. But like a movie like The Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead with Sam Raimi, he made that movie in some log cabin in Tennessee with a bunch of kids from Michigan State, and it became a huge hit, and now a big following with all the other movies.
What was that movie in the late 90s? The Witch something?
Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
It was 3 teenagers in the woods with cameras.
Well, it's just genius. That's just great creativity. Look at George Romero. He paid for pretty much everything. I mean, made Night of the Living Dead for like $100,000. I can't remember. I'm sure, Ryan, you can probably look up what the budget was for the original Night of the Living Dead. But I mean, to me, that would be an indie movie. But in the 90s, I got into like movies like Welcome to the Dollhouse was considered a big indie gem cult movie. That weird ass movie Gummo, if anybody's ever seen that. Dark Days with the DJ Shadow soundtrack.
Night of the Living Dead budget from 1968 was $114,000.
Wow.
I mean, independent films are still being made. I saw at the Chicago International Film Festival this past year, I saw a film that was made for $50,000.
Hmm.
I mean, the guy, he's pretty well known here in Chicago, so he had a lot of local talent that helped him out
Sure.
at low cost, but quality was there. But he also had all the equipment.
So then all of this talk actually brings me back to Ryan and I are always talking about this. Ryan, you'll probably laugh when I say this, but every project gets 3 circles. It's either going to be, and you can only pick 2. You can put your feet in each one in each foot in a circle, and all 3 circles. The 3 circles are cheap, good, and on time. You can only put your feet.
Throw on time right out the damn window.
Yeah, right.
Anything.
You can be on time if you have money.
Right. And I think that's where, and I think that's where we're going with this. Like, you have all these studios with what we consider unlimited funds, because a $50 million budget is pretty unlimited. Versus, what we're trying to do with this film, we're on ramen noodle budget. So obviously we don't have the financial backing of a big studio, so we have to rely on social media. And that's where things are starting to move. And it's exciting because technology is making it available for us to do that. Back 20, 30 years ago, do you think we'd be able to get this far with the money that we have available? Or lack thereof?
I don't know.
Definitely probably would have been a lot harder.
Without technology, I think about like the last 2 years of me tracking down people. If I would have been able to track them down without things like Facebook and other things. I mean, I guess I could have. It just would have been a lot more, probably a lot more physically out on the street, running into people in the neighborhoods and trying to track people down via phone numbers.
Right.
I don't know how far back you want to go on their beepers.
And then even then, if you did track someone down and you say, hey, take a look at this, and you got some ratty film that you got on, you wouldn't even be able to show them on your iPhone or anything.
I'd have to mail somebody a VHS.
Yeah, this is what we have so far. We'd have to dub a tape and send it out, and then they'd be like, man, this looks like garbage.
Well, and then too, like, we wouldn't be able to collaborate as a team like we do. I mean, we're all in different places, right? I'm in Uptown, Chad, you're west, and, you're, Carlos, you're in California, so you're not even close to us all.
Chad's not even west. He's like, he's still in town.
Right, he's in town, but he's west. I'm talking about in the city.
Yeah.
Based in the city, even us that are here in Chicago, we're so spread out. It would be difficult to just get together and meet. But this wonderful technology that we have, we're able to just sit around and sit in our rooms and have a chat, kind of thing, and get things done. But it would be more difficult if we had to collaborate and actually physically get together, I think.
Well, I mean, like Carlos and I work together, like on the website and all that kind of stuff. And going back to the whole technology thing, like I was an early adopter of Adobe Creative Cloud. I was actually a subscriber to Adobe before it was Creative Cloud. So all the other stuff that they added to it is I was down with that from the start. And now it's before when I was a creative director, my entire team was all in the same office space. You have your work servers and all that other kind of stuff. You didn't really need that. But now that I'm independent and working on my own, working with somebody like Carlos is great because we create like those Adobe libraries, or we can share stuff through Google Hangouts, and it's so, I don't know, it's great. We wouldn't have been able to do this 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago. So it's cool.
Even some of the things that we're creating with the with our group, the fact that we're actually here, not really sure how many people know this, but the Midway documentary has actually expanded its reach and is working on Midway radio. Kevin, you have a background in radio.
Yeah.
How has technology changed since even when you were doing a radio show?
Well, I first got on the radio in '95, and it was sort of, I'm not sure how long after that, but I know that I was on WNUR in Northwestern, and they were one of the first college stations to actually go online. So, like, previous to that, just like I was relying on just sort of word of mouth, passing out flyers and leaving flyers at gramophone or record stores about this radio show, and it got good traction from word of mouth and a lot of artists. But it was really great that NUR was one of the first stations to go online, and so that was crazy, like to be getting phone calls all of a sudden, station people like all over the world. And it wasn't like a heavy amount of people, but just enough to notice it was happening. Like I'm drawing a blank right now, but there was that documentary that came out, real limited, about the history of the human beatbox. I think it's called what's it called? I think it's called Breath Control. And it was and the guy that was filming it, he was like based out of somewhere on the East Coast, but he was listening to the show for some reason when I was doing research on beatboxers in Chicago, and so like he was calling into the show while I was making that film, and so it was just like I was learning about how this technology was really working and growing right then, and so since then, now I do a show in Minneapolis, and most people listen online more than they listen probably on the radio, so it's like and then like I do the show the next day, it's live on the internet and streaming, so it's really changed a lot, and I see a lot of things how they help just like get the word out, and marketing. It's great for marketing. Now I can just market the show itself, the going live the next day. I can like tweet an artist playing tonight on the show. Is this happening? So it's more interactive, and so it gives a lot of great opportunities.
And just so people understand who you are and the heft that you bring to this group, can you give us a brief description of who you are, where you come from, what you've accomplished in your life?
Oh, Lord. I do stuff. Peace. Nah.
Kevin.
My dad was in the Army, so I grew up as an Army brat, kind of traveling all around, born in Germany. Spent a lot of my youth in Germany, and that's kind of where I first discovered hip-hop. It was actually given to me as a gift from my dad, my first rap record. And from that moment, pretty much, I had this like thought in my head that I want to find everything that sounds like this. And that was sort of like, I said that when I was listening to that record, and that's been my whole quest in life, is just keep pursuing to find more and more about what became known to me as hip-hop. And since that first day, I've been involved in pretty much almost, in many ways. Like, I spent many years writing songs as an MC, and then I wanted to make I was rapping instrumentals. I wanted to make my own songs, so I got a drum machine. Then I got a sampler. And then other rappers knew I had a sampler. They'd be like, can we come to your house and make songs? I'm like, sure. Then I was a producer. Then I found some good artists, so I became a manager. And then then I wanted to a big turning point for me was like the early to mid '90s, and that was a time when pretty much everyone was mailing in demo tapes to record labels. That was the thing. You make songs, mail them to somebody in New York or LA, pray they listen to it, and they never did. For the most part. And I got a brainstorm one day, just like, if I work for record labels, I can give them to someone personally, not just mail a blind tape, but I can go like, I know Bob in the so-and-so department because I work there. And so I started a company doing promotions, and I just went to all my records and got every phone number, every fax machine, every address, and I would just call, fax, every day until people be like, yes, we'll hire you. For nothing. So that's how I got started in the business. Just like, promoting people's records and stuff like that. And that gave me a sort of insight into the business. And from there, it's kind of funny. My history is really me just being present and being passionate, and then things is coming to me. Like working hard, but not knowing, just working hard in general, not knowing I have a certain plan. So from doing my promotions company, part of my job was going to radio stations and giving them new music. And so one of those stations was WNUR. And one day they were like, hey, you know a lot about hip-hop. You wanted to, their hip-hop host was sick for a week. And they're like, hey, can you come in and do a show for 1 week because the guy is sick? And I was like, I guess I can do a radio show. I'll try it out. I got music. And that guy just never came back. That's why I did it for 7 years.
Did you poison him?
I did not.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
But yeah, I never, and the person who did it is someone I know very well. I just never ask. I'm like, if I don't ask, he won't ask. I'll just stay here doing this radio show.
You might remind him that he needs to come back.
Yeah, he come back. I'm gone now. I haven't been. And that person, that was on Rano, aka Jello. It was his show, and he just stopped showing up, and so I just kept showing up.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. And the same thing for I would give music to local publications and press. And back then we had the fly paper, hip hop magazine paper. Same thing. One day they're like, you know a lot about hip hop. You should write for us. I'm like, write about hip hop? I guess I'll try it. And I remember it was '93, and they want me to do an album review. They said, pick any album you want to do and write an album review. And so I was so subconscious that I picked 3 albums and wrote 3 reviews, and figured they feel guilty and at least pick one because I wrote so much. But they picked all 3 and printed all 3. So my first assignment, I got 3 articles in that magazine, and from there I've been writing ever since. And so it was sort of just like a natural progression.
Do you remember what those 3 album reviews were?
Yeah, YZ, The Ghetto's Been Good to Me, Fuji's Blended on Reality, and Original Flavor, second album. Drawn like on the Beyond Flavor. Yeah.
Wow.
Just to let our audience in on how respected Kevin is with everything that we're doing, and I'm not trying to take anything away from everyone else who's a part of the team, but we are just a group of hustlers. We get things done, we get it out the door, and we push and we push and we push. And everyone's like, oh, cool, look at that. Here's a website. Oh, my God, here's a radio show. And then no one pays attention until Kevin shows up, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Beecham? What? And then and all of a sudden everyone pays attention.
Absolutely. Me and Ryan know a lot of people, but there's some people that we know of we're fans of, but we don't know like on a personal level. And maybe even Kevin might not know them, but they know Kevin because Kevin is one of the most important people in Chicago hip-hop history, period. They'll be humble, but I'll say it, and I don't have a problem saying it. And without a doubt, his involvement in the film is extremely important. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you very much. It's important to be involved. It's important to be involved.
I second that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, well.
When I wanted to find out about new hip hop, there was only 2 people that were gonna teach me, and that was gonna be JP Chill on the South Side, and it was gonna be Kevin Beecham on the North Side when I needed to know new records.
And I kind of think that's a big part of it, because like I had sort of a open door policy at Time Travel Radio. Like, every week you never knew who was coming down, and I would just let people, come down. It eventually got a little out of control. I had to like have a little bit of management. Eventually, years on in, but when it first started, it was like, come down, bring your music. I'll let you freestyle, and I think that sort of open door policy, people really embraced it. They were like, to this day, I still get people come up to me and say, the first time I ever got played on the radio was on your radio show. My first time, rapping to an audience was on your radio show. And at the time, I wasn't thinking like that. I wasn't thinking about what am I doing for these people. I was just like, this is hip hop. This is like, come to the cipher. The cipher's on my radio show to all. And I'm not thinking about who's listening. I'm just thinking about let's just have fun and do this hip hop thing. And so
That
it was
was
a natural thing.
that was hip hop because that was what it was about. It wasn't like that. You couldn't go to like any of the commercial radio stations. You couldn't even get your record played on that. More or less, go down and experience hip hop live. They actually, half these stations, the commercial stations, didn't even know what the definition of hip hop was. Really, it was
They
just
still don't.
street kids. Yeah, they still don't. Some of them, but honestly, you and a few other people, JP being one of them, and yourself, you guys were the ones that would actually, you could turn on the station, and you turned on NUR, and you turned on Time Travel, and it wasn't just songs, it was hip-hop live for however many hours you were on. And I say however many because with shows like that, it was great because sometimes the next DJ wouldn't come in and you would be on for an extra hour.
I went one time. Someone didn't show up on a Thanksgiving night, and I went from like 11 to 6 in the morning. Like no one's here. Keep on going. I just kept going and going and going. I want to go until someone shows up. That was like my rule, like for the most part. Yeah. So it just comes from loving it. You just love it. You don't even think about it. It's natural for you to just do it. So I think that was a big part of the show. Is that this passion.
Sorry, I got a message, and it has nothing to do with the show.
Focus, Carlos. Focus.
I was making sure that it wasn't Sketch Zone Hotline. By the way, Sketch Zone Hotline is 408-753-8248. So if you have a question for anyone on the panel, please feel free. So now that we know that we have an incredibly motivated and passionate group, and we've already established the fact that we're broke as hell. So we have to rely on our friends and family and fans of hip hop and fans of Chicago hip hop. We have to go to the social networks and we have to do all that good stuff. And I'm going to share my screen. If you're listening on iTunes, please go to midwaydocumentary.com and you'll see what we're talking about. Ryan and I, well, actually the team. This was a complete team effort. We're still building this thing. We have a lot of talented people that are part of the cast. Who are some of the people that we've talked to that some folks out there that are fans of hip hop but not necessarily well versed in the Chicago hip hop scene? Who are some of the people that they might have heard of or that they should be on the lookout for?
Well, I mean, some of the people that we've already interviewed would be. I'm just kind of looking at the cast list. We've got A Villa's made quite a big name for himself in the last year or so. He's a newer producer onto the scene, but got a good following. Add Two is another kid who's just really killing it right now with the music and with a lot of his community work that he does. He just signed. I don't know how long has he signed Brisky with. He signed to Ninth Wonder's label. A lot of people know Ninth Wonder from Little Brother, but I had signed with him 2 years ago, maybe something like that. But I mean, we've interviewed Twista and Do or Die and E.C. Illa and Tams 13, Charlie Tuna, David Banner.
All Natural.
As far as some of those huge D.A. Smarts,
DJ Head. People would probably know who he's associated
Yeah,
to.
DJ Head was Eminem's DJ. Some of the people, we're reaching out to some people that aren't from Chicago, but they have connections to Chicago or have worked with Chicago artists. Head was Eminem's DJ for many years. And,
George Daniels.
Yeah, George Daniels. Saba's another young artist who wrote the hook and is on the hook for the for Chance the Rapper's Angels
Heard
song.
him. Yep. Sorry. Heard him bad. As I see, Carlos scrolling through. Heard him bad. He produced like half the Tupac Machiavelli album.
Yeah, heard him. Heard him, Chicago.
Juice.
What's Juice known for?
Kevin was there.
Yeah, Kevin.
Yes. Scribble Jam is one of his things he's known for. Yeah, for sure. Classic moment.
What
Yeah,
was that?
Juice
What was that
pretty
classic
fun.
moment?
Oh, battling the Juice battling Eminem.
Mhm.
97 Scribble Jam. That's
Uh,
it's a YouTube favorite.
yeah, Rhyme Fest. In there.
And him and both Rhymefest are considered to be some of the top freestyle MCs ever, like ever, period.
Yeah. Just so-
Rhymefest has had a huge career with writing a lot of big records for rappers. I mean, he's had hits himself as well, but he's had mega hits as part of Kanye's Good Music Camp. And then he just recently won a Grammy and a Oscar for co-writing Glory on the Selma soundtrack with John Legend and Common.
Awesome. Yeah. There's a lot of stories in Chicago people don't know about, so that's what we're here for.
Like New York, right? There's 8 million stories.
Indeed.
You
And
know,
what's neat is now that we're flipping. Go ahead. Go ahead, Chad.
I was just gonna add, as far as like, you know, obviously we're still in production, so we still have a lot more interviews to go. I think we're starting to see the light of day a little bit. I couldn't give you an exact percentage of how many we have left, but you know, we've done 100 and what, Ryan? 152.
Yeah, 51 or 50, 151 or 152, something like that.
We just finished a interview with the world famous Mole Men production crew, who are basically mostly known as the 3-man production roster. In the image here, you can see Memo on the left. That's a picture of Panic, and then yeah, you have Memo on the left, Panic in the middle, and DJ PNS on the right. Their crew originally started with some other members, Big Juan, Mix Massacre, and then a group of. They've always had MCs part of Moment too. Vakil being the longest. Vakil is an amazing MC from Chicago, one of the best ever from Chicago. But Vakil was down with them. People might know Prime from the originally Optimus Prime, then he went by Prime. He was a battle rapper, really good and talented writer and battle rapper. Matlock was part of them at one point. Rhyme Scheme, who's still with them. Astonish. Yeah, and they've had quite a few other people associated with them as well. And then Panic, Memo, and PNS have all produced big records for other well-known underground and not even and mainstream artists as well, but you know, people like Roscoe Planet Asia, the Cali Agents, Atmosphere, Slug. PNS did a record with On the Moment for their release called Put Your Quarters Up, which featured Slug, MF Doom, and Aesop Rock.
Yeah. And PNS did a different Doom beat as well. So yeah.
Yeah, Con Queso, right?
Yeah. That he did that in the Hee-Haw, some other thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Moment of really big influences and inspirations for me as well. So like, you know, the Moment were just huge and like helped me understand the scene in Chicago. It's like finding their mixtapes and their like, you know, EPs they would put out on cassette. Those were like all great. So yeah, the Moment.
Absolutely.
Big
Yeah,
deal.
they were really talented. We were very lucky, and you know that took a while to make happen. Me and Sean Doe both, not that they didn't want to be a part of it. People go, why does it take so long? But some people might not know, you have one of the members, Panic, who he's no longer living in Chicago. He's in Texas. So we have to wait for the moment, and sometimes he may come back to Chicago, and he doesn't come back to Chicago very often at all. I mean, he's been gone 10 years or so, and he's only been back a handful of times. Now, we actually got lucky because recently he came back and we couldn't get it done. His time was really tight, but now he came back and we moved on it really quick. We made it a high priority, and we were able to get Corey to come down, Memo to come down, and PNS. We were able to organize the three of them and get them down and be able to lock down a Moleman interview. And we got, got their history down and their opinions on, some of the things we talk about in the film, too, for people that obviously, some people may be aware, the people that are following, but the film, while it is a linear kind of timeline story, and it will tell the story in a linear fashion, we're really touching on the social aspects of what it means to be Chicago hip hop. There are certain things that define what it means to be Chicago hip hop, and when we deal with like things of segregation in a city like Chicago, we're also the birthplace of house music, so that affected especially DJs, because it certainly affected the way I DJ, and I'm sure many other DJs in Chicago. Actually, right now, somebody that's listening, DJ Q, he's listening right now. So what up to Q? He's Mike Q. He's a friend of mine, and another DJ. And I came up with him, and he was a huge house DJ. He was super into house, and I used to get influenced by and excited by what he was doing with records and blending, and even the mixtapes he would play me. In fact, I got heavy into mixtapes, and I was inspired really heavy by some of the stuff, the demo mixtape stuff he was learning on the early computer programs, and then me and him went on to do. He helped me out with the Eminem mixtape that I did that I got known for, but I don't want to go too far off. But he was a house dude and a hip hop dude as well. But we just really want to make sure that we touch on all the social aspects and how everything comes together. That's what makes us Chicago hip hop. And in one of the interviews with the Mole Man, they really kind of said about one of the things that really makes Chicago special, and I really agree, is people are like, what's the Chicago sound? Well, there's so much segregation and so much division. Is there a Chicago sound? The Chicago sound is the fact that we don't have a sound because we're an amalgamation of so many different things.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So let's get back on this, on the topic of technology and exposing the project to social media and everything. Ryan, share with the folks, because this website is absolutely huge. Not just physically huge with all of the content, but with all of the stories that you can tell. I'm clicking through all the pictures on Instagram, and I forgot that I was actually doing the show. It's just, I'm like, oh, cool, look at, there's Juice. Oh, wow, cool. There's EC Illa. Talk about your experience building such a big website and how the fans of this project have received it.
My initial idea for the website was that it was going to be kind of like basically a Chicago hip hop archive website. Since then, as you were pulling up right now, we've partnered with Columbia College Chicago and the Center for Black Music Research to really develop that, and that's good because that's going to allow for a lot more resources and a lot more just make the project that much more official. to have an institution like that involved as far as collecting and cataloging and making sure that a lot of this stuff is available to people for a long time to come. But as far as the website goes, it's still going to be a place that people go for Chicago hip hop, and it's I wanted it to be as thorough as possible. And anybody who knows me knows that if I'm doing something that I like, I'm gonna go and work my butt off, and I'm gonna do it to the 10th level, and that's kind of what this is. We could have easily just had a website that just said, hey, this is what the film is, and then here's just a list of names of people that we're talking to, but I wanted it to be more than that for a few reasons. One, just because that's what it should. I mean, the film is one thing, but we can't fit 200 people into a 2-hour film. So to make sure that everybody feels that they're involved in this, like everybody that we talk to is going to have a profile on the website, so you can learn about everybody that we're talking to. And it's not even just a profile. We're sitting there, we're putting in, all of us have put in work, making sure that we get who is connected to who's affiliated with who's part of this crew. Oh, by the way, if you want to hear some of their music, if they're a rapper or a group or something like that, here's some links to some of their stuff. So we're trying to make it as big as possible. Not just information on the film, but information about Chicago hip hop and the people that make it. And I will say that this is just, as we've been kind of calling it internally, I think Chad coined it. It's kind of like phase 1 of the website. We've got a few ideas to make it much larger.
So will there be additions to the website based on
huge, and I'm making them do it.
And will that tie in with the Columbia College? We would start to see special pages geared toward that would just be connected with the website. Is the website a hotbed for that type of connection, or will there be a separate site for the archival process? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question. It will be eventually a separate website strictly for the archives, and that's going to be really super detailed, super massive with everything. The Midway documentary is still going to be the majority. Is about the documentary and the kind of the ancillary projects and stuff like that we have going forward. But there's definitely going to be some ties going forward. Because there's going to be some stuff that we're working on for quote phase 2 that will definitely be used and crossover with the archive site at some point. A lot more kind of educational stuff, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm assuming the site then also too, because you guys have done so many interviews and done so many vignettes or whatever, that cross sections with the site also, all your social media aspects. Can you talk about that a little bit too?
Yeah, I mean everything. I think it might have been Carlos that just mentioned. It's like the website is kind of the hub for everything. So now, if you want to know anything about the documentary, you go to midwaydocumentary.com, and you can see all the vignettes from there. You can even look at our Twitter feed and stuff from there. You can see our Instagram photos from there. Yeah. You can read about all the artists. So that's all. Yeah, that's all.
I think that's the coolest part I like about the site is now, which is the hard part about social media, which I'm sure, Carlos, we'll get into that in a bit. But not having to go to all these other different sites, right? The YouTubes, the Instagrams, the Twitters are all great, but what makes the site so great, guys, is that you're actually going to one place, which I'm lazy. I like to go to one place, Not everybody's a power user that has all the tabs open and, you're clicking over to things. And people can still do that, that are on those. But, it's easier for those people that are not really big on the technology side of things, but use the computer, like to get online and surf. They can go to one place, go to the site, and everything's there.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, I was gonna say, my thoughts of websites has never changed in the last 15, 17 years or so that I've been involved with them a little bit. I've always, even when they've obviously there was a period of time not too long ago where people were like, oh, websites don't matter, everything is Facebook or everything is LinkedIn or this kind of stuff. And I don't know, I've always, and maybe that's kind of part of that, why I'm like a collector with music and movies and that kind of stuff. But I've always thought of the websites as kind of being the hub for everything. Like, yeah, if you're just a Twitter follower, fine, follow us on Twitter. If you just like looking at the photos, follow on Instagram. But I still like the website being that the place where you can get it all. You don't have to go anywhere for it.
And then
one of those places you can go to and you can just get lost because there's so much information there that even like being part of the process when I go there, I find myself getting lost there for like way longer than I.
Yeah,
like,
and we've got every time that we do an interview, a profile goes up because the website is so big, and the crew. I mean, you're basically looking at the entire crew here. The main producers and the people, aside from DJ Sean Doe, who's not with us tonight. The people that are here as part of this podcast, we are the main production team behind this. We're the ones who are working on it for at least a few minutes to several hours or more a day. We're talking, me as the director, I'm talking with every single person on this this panel every day. Whether it might just be a quick email or a text or something, but we're all talking. And of course we obviously have additional cameramen and audio guys and and everything else behind it. But not to get too sidetracked, but my point is that every time we do an interview, somebody gets put up on the site as part of the cast page as a profile. Now, there's 150-some profiles up there, and we've only got around 30 of them completely finished with a bio and links and all that kind of stuff. So we're working on getting the rest of them done as soon as we can, but it's that takes time because, again, we're not copying and pasting somebody's bio from their Facebook page or from their website. We're actually
rewriting it.
We're rewriting everybody's bio, and that's not that anybody else is doing anything wrong, but an artist's bio is written in a certain way where it's like, hey, I need to write this to make it seem like I'm the biggest thing, so I can get a show or get some marketing and promo and stuff like that. And we're coming at it from a journalistic standpoint, so we want it to be a little bit more historical and a little bit more straightforward. So like those are like the little things that a lot of people aren't seeing that take forever when it comes to this stuff. And that's why we stopped doing it, basically stopped doing interviews for a while, because we're sitting here collecting all this information, putting all this stuff together. So
yeah, that's the thing about the team. I was gonna say is we're doing everything. So like it's not like we're directing it, like Ryan's directing it, I'm producing it. Carlos is producing and handling all the technology. Grayson's hustling. Barb is constantly tweeting or doing something, being the head of social media. And me and Ryan are just hustling in every direction to try to either, like, I'm hustling getting people on, and then I'm like, yo, Grayson, I got this person and I got this time to get an interview, and then we got to try to hustle to get the spot. And but then we have to get the website done. So we have to come up with information and rewrite. Plus I have to either try to find information on me and Sean Doe are trying to find information. We got to rewrite everything, like Ryan said, and we got to do all that, and we don't have someone to handle all that while we focus the other stuff. We're literally doing everything.
And one of the important pieces of the puzzle that I was excited when this happened was when we went out and got Barb to come in and be our social media producer. And Barb, what was the very first question you asked in that very first meeting?
When I was talking to Risky to begin with, or when I met with Ryan and Risky, the first thing I said was, when is your website going to be up and ready?
and it was beautiful timing, because I think it was the week before or 2 weeks before, Ryan was pacing back and forth, and Ryan had a full head of hair when this whole thing happened. He just rubbed it all off, and he's like, why aren't we seeing our reach? Why aren't people checking out our stuff? And it's not that people weren't checking out our stuff, is that we had no way, since everything we had was basically a shotgun approach. Everyone was checking it out. There was just not one central place, kind of to Charlie's point. There was not that one central place where people can go.
Yeah.
But when we launched this website, Barb, do you remember the numbers we were looking at?
I think there was like 1,900 people on the first day. And we had more after that, and that was I mean, within a couple hours. It wasn't, a few days here and there. It was a couple hours. And even when we did the event that we had for the Seed and Spark campaign, we had how many people? It was like 1,700 people were checking out the website in those few hours that we were there.
I had to upgrade our web hosting within the first week because we have that much travel.
And that's the cool word. That's the cool thing. It's the hub. You guys just got to remember the hub. I know you guys already know this, but everybody who's listening, the site becomes a hub for this whole project. And one of the things what happens is the evolution of a site, and Carlos can speak to this from doing websites and stuff, and Ryan also, is that like this could be so much bigger than even the film once it's completed, because people get used to having a spot where they go, where they get information. Richie talked about it back in the day with the two different radio shows that were on, and that's his thing when he needed to get a new artist. Like after a while, all this writing's probably going to turn into articles and different blog posts and more information about those artists' shows and stuff like that. It can turn into what could be, this is how I think, at least, like what a Facebook is, or a Google is, or Instagram is for artists, or an ArtStation is for artists, or Pinterest or whatever. Because once people have that place they can go and they know they can figure out where this artist is, or I used to like this artist from back in the day. What is he doing? Oh, he was on that documentary. Where can I go? And then realize the site has so much more to offer. You never know what happened. You guys might have to be putting out articles, and now you turn into something different. It's like, could be just Midway, and then the next thing you know, people are coming to you guys just for content about hip hop and not just Chicago hip hop. It starts to spread out. I'm
going to tell you this right now, and as this site stands now, and it's the site, I don't know, like, okay, the site's not even close to finished yet because we still have to finish out all the profiles, plus we still have more interviews to do, but we're updating it constantly. And then there's different phases, and I'm going to jump into that in a second, but I won't give away the phases. Ryan and Carlos will murder me. But
everybody's face got real serious.
I have a tendency to run off at the mouth everywhere.
I remember our last podcast.
Everybody's like, what is he going to say now?
About things. I get so excited about stuff, and then I just blah, blah, blah. So anyway, but I will say right now that this site, when it is finished, and it's already almost there, it will be, and I think it's fair to say, and I don't think I'm a cocky person or anything like that. I just don't think I try not to be, at least. But I will say that I believe this will be the most comprehensive website on any hip hop scene in the world. Period. In the world. No, New York, LA, nobody's got anything like this. And those are the two biggest scenes, and even Atlanta. There's nothing like this in the world. When it's said and done, I believe it'll be the most comprehensive website on any individual scene in the world. I mean, would you guys agree with that?
I mean, if you put the content in, it can definitely be. I mean, there's other sites that we've known of in the last 5 or 6 years that've blown up, to be international sites, even with hip hop and stuff like that, or even with social media and stuff like that, and stuff we don't want, stuff like look where World Star started and how it started, and Grassroots has started into what it got now. So having actually good content, and actually having things people want or people are always wondered about, that could be very.
Those are big blog sites. I'm referring it to being a informational site.
So I understand, but just think about if a blog site can do that, than something with real
Oh, like
content.
this, yeah.
It's a real
Right.
media, news media, documentary
Sure.
style, legit, type of site that will have a little even more clout.
Yeah, no,
Just a
I
little
agree.
blog site can do that.
I'd love to blow up like World Star, only for something that brings good to the world.
Yeah.
I knew there was the potential for the site to be big like this because I think one of the reasons why I even got asked to be involved in this film was because, about 15 years ago, I wrote this timeline on hip hop in Chicago. It originally was done for a magazine article, and when I did it, I already knew that it was a magazine article. They're going to edit it. It's going to be short, and so when I turned it in, the magazine article, the editor totally chopped up my words. He he said things I didn't say. He changed things up. He omitted a bunch of stuff he said he would leave in there. And so I was sort of really upset when it came out in this magazine that I reached out to Galapagos4.com, who I was connected with, and asked if they would post it on their site. Or maybe they asked me. I can't remember if they asked me or I asked them. But that went live on their site like 15 years ago. And to this day, people still hit me up about that timeline, being how they found out about hip-hop in Chicago. So it's that thing I did 15 years ago in a couple of weeks, but not that much effort, it still is getting light. I know something more comprehensive, what we're doing, can have a great impact. I mean, probably
I use it researching for the film, Kevin.
Yeah, so it's still useful. It's funny because when Kanye first started getting big, I think when Through the Wire just came out, or the first album was coming out, I was getting all these calls from magazines and news sources, because when you would Google hip hop in Chicago, my timeline was the only thing on the internet. All you can find about anything about Chicago hip hop was that timeline. So I was getting all these interview calls for Kanye West thing. I was like, why are they calling? I was like, why are they getting calls about Kanye West? I was like, oh, because they're Googling hip hop Chicago, and that's what's coming up. So this thing, the impact of that, very simple. Well, maybe not simple, but very skeleton timeline I did. And what we're doing now on a much grander scale, I know there's so much potential.
Yeah.
I will tease real quick. One of the things coming in phase 2 is going to be a more in-depth and updated timeline of Kevin's timeline.
And that's
going to be kind of like an interactive version of it.
That's exciting.
Okay, see, there you go, adding more information than what people
Hit the mute button.
Listen,
This is why we love Risky.
I'm going to say this, okay? Phase 2 and the next phases of this website are going to be so cool, and I'll keep my mouth shut. But Ryan comes up with cool ideas, and then I go, that's amazing, we're doing that. This is my job as the producer, is to make Ryan understand that he needs to do things that come out of his mouth, and he goes, but I don't know how to do that. And I say, I don't care, get it done.
Figure it out, bro.
And then he goes, it came out, it's in the world now, and I want it to happen, and it's gonna happen.
So now
and
it's
then
my
he goes
turn.
to Carlos.
Now it's my
Carlos
turn to
goes,
say you need to start pumping the brakes, because right when he hangs up with you, he calls me
Yep.
and says,
Carlos.
how
Hey,
are we going to do
Carlos,
this?
can you do
and I'm
this?
like, oh no, you need to stop talking to Risky.
No. We got big ideas, Carlos. Big ideas, buddy.
And that timeline thing's exciting for me because I knew the original timeline that it was there's no way to be complete, or I knew there's things I didn't know, people I couldn't reach, and so for years, people were emailing me updates and corrections and all these things, and I wanted to do one big massive update, so I was collecting all this information for 8 years, and it was through my Hotmail account, and then my Hotmail account crashed. I lost all that information, and so I was so sad, I guess that's the word I want to use, but so I never updated it. I got frustrated, so I was like, I'll never touch that thing ever again. I'm done. So I'm glad that these guys have inspired us to kind of get back to it. Now I'm willing to let them update it, sure, and I'll definitely help. But it's important for me to see that kind of get a new life. It's pretty exciting.
So Kevin touched on something that was very important, especially there's a lot of our audience they're artists and they're, you know, animators, and they make films and stuff like that. And one of the things that Kevin said just earlier was he created this Chicago hip hop timeline, and people did a search, and his hip hop timeline kept popping up. So now I have to turn to our social media expert and say, Barb, like how have things changed in social media and Google and doing searches? Because now there's a lot more than just Kevin's timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So if you did Chicago hip hop, chances are you're going to get a lot of a bunch of stuff. So help us understand the importance of the Googles and preparing yourself for success online.
All right. Well, since you started with Google, I'll talk about Google for a minute. So Google has all these algorithms they use, right? They have probably 200 algorithms that go into their code to search on sites. So your search now is not based on, oh, if I type in Chicago hip hop timeline, Kevin's timeline is going to come up. It's based on what you search on your PC every day, or your Mac, whatever you have. And then it's also based on other things that Google thinks you want. So it's based on your behavior. It's based on also for websites, it's based on the SEO score. So there's websites have a certain score of SEO, and that score is based on things like when we have people come to our site, how long are they on the site? Are they coming to the site and then bouncing right back off, or are they staying? Are they staying for a long period of time? Is there content? Like everybody was talking about content and how important. It's very important to have good content, because if you put a post out on social and then you get to the site and it's not what you want and people are just bouncing all the time, Google will rank you lower in your SEO score. So that's one of the reasons why a website's important. And then another reason, I'm just going to share my slides really quick here that are now gone. Hang on. I had them ready. But basically, like, what happens? Oh, it's here. Hang on. Let's see what's going on here. Google wasn't picking it up. It's all Google's fault. Here we go. So basically, I showed this slide to Risky and Ryan when we were together, and this is a perfect example of where you are in social media. It's this big, huge grocery store, and you're this little itty-bitty bottle of A1 sauce here that this arrow is pointing to, right? And you're trying to get your message out there and all these people to see it. But it's so hard because there's so many different messages coming to people every single day. So the thing is you have to make sure, because what I always say is social media is like a puppy. It's something you have to watch and nurture. So it's something that you have to keep at. You have to keep at it. You have, yeah, that's Snoop when he was 6 months old. Sorry, it's my dog. So, anyways, yeah. So you have to like keep at it, and you have to keep doing it. And if you don't, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So we had just want to go over a little bit of what our social media goals were for Midway, to try and put it in context for everybody, for a real life story. So first, one of our goals was to create buzz about the project and to help attract funding. And we wanted to do that by informing, educating, and promoting. So these are the things you have to do on social in order for your message to get out there and be in the limelight, right? So you want to inform, and informing means like, oh, hey, we have this show coming up, and we're going to have all these artists here. Come hang out with us. That's a great informational post. Educating is something like, oh, hey, did you know that, here's a Throwback Thursday moment kind of thing. That's an educational thing. Then you can promote. Then you can say, hey, we're doing this documentary, and, you just saw all of our posts on these, shows that people have, or, this, fact from history that we're talking about, like when we were talking to Mole Men. There you go. There's a perfect example of people that love hip-hop that really want to know about that. And so if you do it in that order, it's not like selling, because people know when they're getting sold to, and you don't want to do that on social because they'll just ignore you or not follow you, and that affects everything, right? So then our second goal was creating awareness of the film, and our third goal was to utilize third-party groups to further increase reach. And this is the most important thing, is this part right here, because we have all these artists, right, that are in this film, and we have all these people involved in this film, and they have followers, and their followers have followers. So once you expand your reach past just the little group that you have, and you go out into the world, and you have people share, and then their people share, and then their people share, then it starts becoming a buzz, right? Then when you search on Google, if you search the hashtag Midway Doc on Google, I guarantee you'll see like at least 6 or 7 posts from our documentary on social media, right? But it maybe wasn't like that, a couple months ago or, a year ago. And that's because we finally, brought everybody together and said, listen, we need you guys to help us with this. And it's not hard, right? It's not difficult to share a social media post. It takes 5 seconds. So the next thing you want to do after you create your goals, you want to create a content strategy. And using social media, this is a rule of thirds. This is Seth Godin is a big, huge social media guru, and he wrote a book called All Marketers Are Liars, but really it's titled All Marketers Are Storytellers. So you want to make sure that you're creating content that tells a story, right? So a third of your content wants to promote your business and convert your audience by telling a story. And a third of your content shares ideas and stories from thought leaders. So like Kevin, Kevin's a perfect example. Kevin can come on social media and say, hey, you guys, really interested in this, radio show we're doing. I would really like your thoughts on it, and like maybe he provides some thoughts about the industry and shares it with all of his followers. And then the third is brand content. So our brand content is the vignettes, right? That's really big brand content, or the website in general, because it's got a lot of content on it and good content. So that's really the basis of our content strategy. I just wanted to show this slide too. It's kind of cool. This is the vintage social networking. So, you have your LinkedIn and your Foursquare and your Instagram and your Imager, WordPress, and that's how it used to be, right? But it's not that way anymore, and the world is smaller than it used to be. So you always want to make sure that you have a good strategy behind you. And what I like to do is show people this slide too. Everybody's like, oh, well, this is really great, Barb, and thanks for telling me everything that I need to do to be on social, but how do I do it and not take so much time out of my day? And this is, I do social media training at work for our sales reps, and I make them take this slide and print it off and put it in their cubicles so they will remember what they need to do. And so when you go in, or you're starting off, or you have 10 minutes, just do this. And if you start here, then you can build from there. But you have to start somewhere. And if you think about it this way, it's a little less intimidating. So the first thing you want to do is check your social streams and your competitor streams. So, in a marketing world, we always talk about our competitors, and we're always checking up on what they're doing and try to do what they do. Well, it's the same thing with art or the music industry or anything else. What are other people commenting on? What other documentaries are happening out there? What's the buzz of the day? And use that information and be the thought leader, right? You're going to like and share and retweet something that's relevant to what you're doing. And then you want to take things in the industry, like maybe another hip-hop artist has a show going on, and we want to share that because we want to promote them. And the other important part is, not only do you want to help promote them, you want them to help promote you. So if you have somebody that you know that's like a thought leader in the industry, or somebody that writes a blog, for example, if you're a blog writer and you know another blog writer and he's got a really big following, have them link to your site on a post, or send them a post and have them link to your site. This helps, again, create and expand your reach. And that's all that social media is like, how can I expand my reach? Because if you expand your reach, then you start coming up on the Twitter feed, then you start coming up on the Google alerts, then you start coming up on every social network. And that's the thing, is like, the more likes you get, the more people you have following you, the more you have good content to share. That's when you're going to show up in those Google searches and things like that. And then the other two more things, I don't want to take up too much time, but you want to comment, like, and share your prospects and customers' posts. So this is obviously geared towards more marketing, but share other artists' posts, share other customers, if you have customers that you've done work for, share their posts, ask them to share your posts. And then you want to make sure that you're posting free content, blog content, and this is the other reason why I liked when I first sat down with the guys and I was like, listen, we really need a website. We need the hub. We need the hub because the hub is where everything goes to. So we have the hub, and then we can have a blog, then we can have a radio show, then we can have a podcast, then we can have Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. It all goes to the same place. And that also helps with your, SEO score, really, and Google, and how you come up in the Google searches. And then also sharing on any relevant groups you've joined. So if there's, like the Columbia College, Chicago, we've, shared things about our, partnership with them for the Hip Hop Archive, for their archive, sorry, I lost my train of thought, for their archive they're putting together, right? So we share on their site, and they're sharing us on their site as well, so that helps our SEO score too. So there's all these different things that happen, and it's not one thing, and people will be like, oh, well, if you just do this, that, and this. No, it's not really that, because like I said, social media is like a puppy. So if you think about a puppy, he's got to eat, he's got to get fed, he's got to get walked, he's got to play, you got to look at it, you got to watch it, and then you also have to make sure that you're responding to people. And, like we have people that'll post, messages on our Facebook, and, I try to be good about responding, but Ryan kind of beats me to it sometimes, so. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of it all. I mean, do you guys have like questions or anything you want to chat about? Did any of that make sense?
So real quick, you keep dropping this term SEO. For those people that don't know, what does SEO stand for?
So SEO is search engine optimization, okay? And way back in the day, well, not way back in the day, maybe 5 years ago, Google had no algorithm involved on its search, and basically you would type in a phrase like Chicago hip hop, and it would bring up everything Chicago hip hop, and that was really great. So marketers who are very savvy decided that if they just put enough of those words for that site that they wanted into their content on their pages, then it would come up higher in the results for Google. So Google figured that out, and that's why they created all these algorithms and things that now when you're searching for something, you're really not, when you type in a phrase, you're searching based on what Google thinks you want, based on your past previous search history, right? And then also all of these other algorithms. So you can have a really great site with like all these keywords. They call them keywords, right? Which search terms are. And so you'll have all these keywords, and people do things like keyword stuffing, which is where they like put as many of those words in there as possible so that they can get higher in the Google rankings. Well, that doesn't work anymore. So now there's other things. So that's why you have to have a good website with good content. You have to have a place where people can go and they want to spend some time there. It has to be interesting enough. It has to be compelling. The wording on the site has to be, easy to read and not stuffy or, corporate. Like, it has to be. It has to have a voice. It should be friendly. It should be empathetic. It should be, all these other things that you have to work on in order to be able to rank high in Google searches. And that's where you get the organic search. That's where you get the people, oh, hey, look, they got a website. Oh, look, they also have a Facebook page. They have an Instagram page. Well, I really like checking Facebook out, so maybe I'll be on there. Maybe I'll join, be one of their friends on Facebook. I'll follow them on Facebook. And that's how you gain followers. And that's how you gain attraction to whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's a movie or if it's your own personal, company, your website, your design firm, whatever it is. It's all a game. I guess it's a game, right? And it's all, integrated. It's not just one single thing. Oh, if I post 50 times on Twitter, it's going to work. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I started my whole social media thing way back. It's probably been like 5 or 6 years ago now with my Robots and Aliens comic strip. And you go through and learn a lot of this stuff. Well, at least I did learn a lot of this stuff on the fly. And one of the things that I noticed was, especially with webcomic folks, is they'll put up 2 comic strips and then they already want to sell T-shirts or toys or whatever the case may be. And that leads me to my question for you and pretty much anyone on the panel, whoever has an opinion on this. What is the most common misconception when it comes to all the social media stuff?
Okay, so the most common misconception is the more followers you have, the better reach you have. And that's not necessarily true, because you could have 10,000 followers, but if nobody's sharing your content, it won't show up on a Twitter feed.
Hear that, Dave Etsy?
I think this was a setup here to tell everybody on Midway. But yeah, basically, sometimes even the Midway posts, like I'll have to search for them on Twitter. I have to go to the Midway Twitter page in order to find them. And that's because, Twitter isn't making it a top story. And if you notice, if you go on your social media at any time, like when I go on my Facebook, I get so mad because it always defaults to top stories, and I don't really care about the top stories. I just want to see what people post in the last hour, right? So that's the problem, though, because if you don't get your reach expanded past your own followers, where it's looking like, hey, this is something that people are really interested in, and then it gets shared as a top story, you're never going to get seen. Remember the grocery store picture? That's what you are. You're that little bottle of A1 sauce on the shelf in the back 3/4 of the store, and in like media, in radio, not radio necessarily, but more like magazine and print. The top fold, the top third of the page always got the most traction. That is exactly what social media is, except you have to have people share and share and share and share and share. And hashtags. Using hashtags works too.
Yeah. And I was teasing Dave, but one of the cool things that Dave does that falls under the umbrella of all of the descriptions that you just gave, Dave has been really helpful when it comes to the show. I'll reach out to him and I'll say, do you know this person? And he'll say, yeah, of course, I'll reach out to them. You want me to connect you to? And he's connected me to a handful of people. And he does things like, I think it's every Monday, he picks an artist that he likes to, or that he finds motivation from, and he'll pick that artist out and point to him and say, this is the person that I'm focused on this week. I needed to show you guys how cool this person's artwork is. And those are some of the ideas that that you've been pointing to. And just to give someone who's listening an example of how to put it into movement or into practice, you know, if you're not already, there's 10,000 of you guys already following Dave, but if you're not, follow Dave on Instagram and see how he operates. Like, this kid he's got a PhD in the social media stuff. Yeah, and he's killing it. He finally got Charlie to follow him.
I was just waiting. Strategic, buddy. Strategic. You know me. That hard to reach demographic.
Yeah.
You're the hard to reach persona.
Kevin, I got a question.
For me? Okay.
Yeah. Earlier you were kind of shifted a little bit different. Was that an SP1200 behind you?
That was.
Nice.
Nice.
What's an SP1200 for?
Back there somewhere.
Can we get a look at
That's
that?
what yeah, let's see it.
Just chilling behind him, no biggie.
That's beautiful.
It's just sitting around here.
Is that the same one you've had for a long time?
No, someone long-term borrowed my other one.
Oh.
Oh, long term, huh?
Yeah, haven't seen it since 1999. But yeah, that's when I got it a couple years ago. I haven't even used it yet.
Oh my God.
It's a table decoration right now.
I want to take a quick second and give a little shout out real quick to Archimon Army. What up? They are listening and decided to reach out. And with that said, all right, Midway crew, everyone, this or that, and let's have Risky go last because he's talkative.
We
Midway
love you,
crew.
Risky.
Fair enough.
Midway crew.
Touche. All of
This
this
or that.
Hey, I got things to say.
Oh, we know.
I'll probably be bad. I don't know anything about anything, so we'll see how I do with this.
All right. This or that. Sears or Willis?
Oh, really? That's not even. You shouldn't even have to ask that question. Of course, it's Sears.
Kevin?
I might. Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say I might make some people mad, but who cares? They're both corporate names. Wrigley Field is a corporate name. So, like,
Hey, that's right.
Those
I
opinions
don't
expressed by Ryan Brockmeyer are those of Ryan Brockmeyer and Ryan Brockmeyer only. They do not express the opinions of this show or anyone else that is usually on this show, Charlie B. Williams and Jack Kaspersky.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with Ryan's approach here because I don't have an opinion.
Risky?
Yeah. What is Willis? What is that?
What is Willis?
What is Willis?
That's a good answer.
Yeah. What you talk about, Willis? That's,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm in that camp. All right.
maybe I'm a little bit jaded because I actually worked in the building for
You're
quite a while.
cranky is
so
what it is.
Yeah.
You're just cranky. All right. Chicago Cubs or Chicago Cubs?
Wow.
All right, see, now I have to show you my T-shirt. Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, girl. That's
I'm
why we
also
keep you around.
wearing a Cubs shirt.
Wow.
Cubs cap. Chad is all cubbed out.
Look at Chad. Risky. That's hilarious.
He's just playing right now. He's on the field right now.
I went 2 games this week too.
Woo!
I'm wearing blue.
That counts. That counts.
All right, good. I'm in.
All right. This one may or may not make sense, but if you need explanation, please let me know. A documentary film or a documentary series?
Ooh, that's tricky. Depends, but I'm gonna go documentary series only because I'm the kind of person that likes as much information as possible. Like I know some people like to give it to me in the short. I want the long form version, and I can take all the information I want it. And so series is what I'll go with for sure.
Right.
I agree for all the same reasons that he just said.
Yep.
Yeah,
Risky?
I agree. And I'm gonna try to make Ryan make a series out of Midway. But
There it is.
Yeah, seriously.
Ryan,
Because-
FYI.
Because we're going to go on a little bit of a tangent, and it doesn't even have to be more than just a couple minutes, but how much footage do we have?
Oh my god, how many gigs?
Oh,
Terabytes. Sorry.
we're into terabytes.
Yeah, we're into terabytes. Oh no.
I want to say that we're around 6 terabytes total of footage, and I want to say that it's closing in on 500 hours of footage from both interviews and B-roll and stuff that we've been
You hear that, Netflix?
doing.
You hear that, Netflix?
We need a 300-hour deal.
What's wrong with this? Not messing around with you.
we got content.
Netflix, Hulu.
The views and expressions.
Our Carlos.
Hey, speaking of Netflix, did anybody see The Get Down yet?
No, but I was gonna watch it tomorrow.
Only one episode.
What's that, Mike or Brian? Mike, Kevin?
I saw one episode so far. You watched it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
You liked it? There was definitely some highlight in the first episode. There's some highlight moments that made me not what I expected at all, but there's some cool things about it.
There are cool things. It felt a little contrived and forced, but that doesn't mean that's just how I kind of felt. It was okay, but maybe because I'm working on kind of a historical thing right now, I'm kind of
I think it's
a
more
little jaded,
entertainment than
as Ryan would say. I'm sure people are
views
gonna
and
love
risky
it.
business. Because I think it was more entertainment, and I think you're coming from a point of accuracy, and you have to like.
I know.
do it for
That's why
entertainment,
I'm gonna say like that's just clearly my opinion. A lot of people will love it, but
Yeah.
you know,
You want
It's
the
okay.
real, yeah.
All right. This or that? Cool or dope?
Really?
I was trying to think of what I say more often.
Barb is literally on the floor.
Oh my god, that was hilarious.
Cool or
I
dope?
say fresh.
I'm gonna go.
There it is. There it is.
I'll go dope. I don't say that much, but I'm gonna bring it back more often. I'm gonna start saying dope more. So
You should, Kevin. Start it tomorrow.
thank you for inspiring me, Carlos. And
Thank you for inspiring.
Yep.
Good.
I'll be on
Always
the
here for
dope
you.
train too. Sure.
Damn, that shit is dope.
dope,
See?
dope. I'll see you on there. Dope.
Can
See,
we?
I think a dope or a fresh would have been a more of a like head to head. You know,
Yeah.
with
Because cool is
Hip
like.
hop.
Nobody says fresh anymore though.
Yeah,
Well, I do.
fresh.
Hashtag played out.
I don't
Hashtag
think anybody really
Oh,
says
now
dope
you're throwing
that much, though,
hashtags?
either. Do they?
hashtag gray hairs.
Hashtag. Are you do
All
the
right.
limo?
All right, we're missing one, and I know the answer to this one, but Ryan,
Dope.
yeah, no surprise there, kid. All right, Facebook Live or Periscope? Facebook
Lives, it's kind of new, right? So you don't really know how it's going to go. But Periscope's better because it's not just one platform. You can use it on all platforms. That's what I say anyway.
But isn't Facebook the biggest? So would it be? Is Periscope still a thing? Do you still Periscope, Carlos?
Mm-hmm. From time to time.
Oh.
When I think about it, I'll get on there, and then I usually, like, I think to myself, who the hell wants to listen to me in the first place? So,
Pretty much.
so I hang up on myself.
Oh. So you turn yourself off. You're like, okay.
Okay. Goodbye, Carlos. Goodbye, Carlos.
No, I get all rude with myself. Like, I just click, and then I think to
Oh,
myself,
you just hang
where
up
did I
on
go?
So your
Oh, wait.
subconscious turns you off.
But wait, the bigger part would be, are you talking to yourself, pretending like you're still on the phone with yourself after you've already known you hung up with yourself?
Wow.
Right after I was asking myself where I was last night at 9 p.m.
We are branching.
Well, you know, it is almost 1 in the morning here,
Yeah.
so it's kind of tiring.
All right, we'll go with the last one is, would you rather get an Instagram heart or a LinkedIn endorsement?
Endorsement.
I give my heart, yo. I need that love, man. I live off the fuel of love.
I'll send you hearts every day, Kevin.
How about you? How about you, Risky?
I don't even have a LinkedIn account. I just delete those. I delete those the second those come. Someone sends me one of those requests, I delete the thing on my email. I know I need one, but I don't have one.
Ryan?
Instagram.
Yeah.
Look at him all IG'd out.
He's an IG OG.
He's an IGOG. Is that your rap name, Ryan?
Like it.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
did there and find all of my Ryan rap CDs, by the way. I found them. I have them all now. I have 3 different CDs. I found them all.
Yes.
Go ahead and know how to lose them all, Kevin.
We have to play them on the next episode of Midway Radio.
No.
Don't get me fired.
No, we don't.
I'm going to be part of this film, but I did find them.
Okay. Kevin, pull it out. Pull it out.
Ryan, I
Throw it
think
in the
it's
crate.
essential to play it.
I emailed to Brian. If he plays it, it's on him. I'll see what he does.
Just give him
Ryan,
the
would it
risky.
be essential?
Just
Accidentally BCC me on that.
Oops.
Just accidentally give him the risky. They'll get out some kind of way then.
Oh, hold on a minute, guys. Wait. No, I'm not going to do it.
Special mix, see? I'm put a special nostalgic throwback Thursday.
There you
Next,
go.
next question.
We need the social media buzz, right? You put something out. Let's educate, right? On
There you go. We need to educate people about Ryan's
on the
DJ
director in the
name.
background.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then we have a thought leader, like Kevin, talk about it. See, I was listening.
Look at you.
Good.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy you listened.
Thank you. I listened. 'Cause this is where what? Wait. Oh.
It's getting late, and Risky is now showing off his toys because
That's usually how our team
We are
meets.
branch.
What are you
Yeah.
talking
Our
about?
team
Risky
meeting.
is no longer
All
around.
right.
When Risky starts reaching for toys, we know it's time to go.
His attention's
yeah.
gone. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Wow.
It's Galactus!
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
So if anybody wants to know how our meetings go, it's something like this.
Very much so.
You kind of start positive and you're getting some stuff done, and then the train just goes off the tracks.
Crazy train.
So yeah.
Alright.
That, my friends, is that's the Midway crew.
Oh, you have toys too. I'll show off my dog. There he is, sleeping on
Snoop.
the bed.
Hey.
It's Snoop's bedtime. He's like, when are you going to stop being in here so I can go to sleep?
Aww. I got the Incredible Hulk here, me. I'm fine.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
So let's start with Ryan. Ryan, if people are looking for you or more information on this film, where can they find you?
If you're looking for more information on the film, you can go to midwaydocumentary.com. Got links to everything else that we're working on. Personally, you can check me out on Twitter at 278media. The number's 278 and then media. Same thing with Instagram. It's 278media.
And the lovely Barb, thank you so much for putting up with all of us and joining the team anyway. We needed you in a big way. Thank you for actually injecting some intelligent conversation in here. You made up for all of Risky's toys.
You know, I just figure I'm here to keep everything moving and keep you guys in line. That's all, really.
Well played.
What are your social media handles?
Well, my social media handle for Twitter is babs76_, and then Facebook, I don't really know, but you can check out my. If you go to the Midway website and you go to the filmmakers section, you can check out all my social media connections there. I have a LinkedIn profile, unlike Risky, but yeah. So, and Risky will talk.
No, really, Willie?
That is
you
a
on
great,
LinkedIn.
That is a great plug, real quick, that I forgot. On the Midway website, midwaydocumentary.com, there's a page for the filmmakers, so you can get find a little background on all of us, and it's got links to connect us on many different platforms.
So that's midwaydocumentary.com/filmmakers, plural.
Sir.
And Chad, DJ Risky Business, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
Twitter is at DJ RiskyBiz, DJRSKYBIZ. Instagram, but I'm not a big Twitter guy. Instagram, I'm on there a lot more. That is, hold on, it's at DJ RiskyBiz. It's at DJ RiskyBiz 1975. And then you can just search Chad Sorensen on Facebook, and you'll find me. It'll say Risky on there too. So.
And Mr. Kevin Beecham.
I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, LinkedIn. Kevin Beecham or Kevin Beecham 21. One or the other. I'm there on all those platforms.
What's the 21 stand for?
21. Favorite number.
That's my favorite number too.
What? Why you steal my number, yo? You got a reason?
I was born 321.
Oh.
Aww.
Mine's way more trivial. My first grade and third grade co-class number was 21. I was like, what, twice? It's got to be a sign.
It's got to be a sign.
I decided in third grade this is my number for life.
Third grade. Do you play blackjack too, or no?
Probably should, right? Because like that number was for me in third grade and first grade. Guy, I'm not gonna lie.
Nice. That's a good number. I'll let you borrow it.
Oh.
I'm the elder here.
We'll have to take out the calendar. I don't know. We'll have to figure that one out.
All right.
Right after the show. Charlie B. Williams, if people are looking for you, where can they find you?
You can find me on my website, which is cargocollective.com/Charlie B. Williams. You can find me on Facebook. Artist page is facebook.com/CharlieBW3. Instagram is CharlieBW3. Twitter is CBW3. And then Pinterest is CharlieBW3 also, for great references and all that good stuff that's on that site. You know, I'm on LinkedIn. Just type in my name and I come up at the top of Google. It's true. Try it.
I will.
I found you that quick. I already found you, so
Boom.
we're connected.
You gotta do Jack. Do Jack,
I'm
Carlos.
trying to find you right now, Charlie. Charlie BW3.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And something happened to Jack's computer. We'll find out next week. But if you're looking
Well,
for
Charlie,
Jack,
you have one more follower, sir.
it's amazing how just the aura of Charlie continues to interrupt Jack.
It's not my fault.
You don't even have to say anything. It's like just the mention of Jack. A mention of Charlie interrupts the mention of Jack.
Dang, Charlie, I'm looking at your Instagram and you got mad food photos. I'm hungry, man.
Okay, let me go ahead and wrap this up then. Okay, thanks.
Man,
Jack
hungry looking
Kasperzak,
Charlie.
he is. You can find him at sketchbookjack.com and basically Sketchbook Jack everywhere else.
Everywhere else. Yes.
I am Carlos Gomez. You can find me at carlosrgomez.com, and if you're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, or Behance, you can find me under the handle of Coconut Justice. This has been the Sketch Zone podcast. You can go to sketch.zone, check out everything that we have going on, past episodes, upcoming episodes, and if you have an idea for a guest, you can go to sketch.zone/guest. If you're on Twitter, you can find us at SketchZone, on Facebook.com/TheSketchZone, on YouTube.com/SketchZonePodcast, and we are available pretty much everywhere else, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And listen, if you're on iTunes and you leave us a review, good or bad, indifferent, doesn't matter, let us know what we're doing good, let us know what we're doing bad, we'll read it on the show, and if you say anything goofy, we will let you up. That is it for us. Everyone, thank you again so much for being here.
One last thing, Carlos. If you look on Kevin's Instagram, you'll see a picture of him with MC Hammer in the streets of Minneapolis.
What? Hashtag random. That's it for us, guys. Have a wonderful week.
Bye,
See you guys.
everybody.
Thank you.